So I went back to the thrift store and was looking for more stuff that I can incorporate in wood turning and Christmas gifts. And I found a twin to the bowl I did. It has the same exact foot. This time I'm going to fill the bottom of the foot so that way it doesn't create an air bubble when I set it in there. And I like this one because it has like a red, excuse the dust, it's kind of dirty, I didn't clean it off yet. It has like a reddish wine color in the bottom, which I think would be very cool. So I went ahead and chose, I went online and bought some more mica powders. This one's called a dark scarlet. It has like a purpley, you know, real dark red wine kind of color. And I also got some Wise Bond alcohol inks. This is called Valor Red. So we're going to try that. I'm going to do some Scarlet and Valor Red in here, and then just some Valor Red in here. So it's going to be same colors, one with mica powder and alcohol ink, the other one with just alcohol ink, to kind of give it some more like a transparency along with the opaqueness that the powder gives. So I have a bucket. Went to Hobby Lobby and bought these wood discs slices, and so I'm going to add those with a big huge pine cone that I was sent in the mail from a viewer, or I picked this one up, I don't know, we have pine cones everywhere here. So I just stuffed them. I'm not going to pull it all back out again because I don't want to have to rearrange this, so I apologize for that. I just stuffed them all in here, and with the pine cone going kind of at an angle, so that a way I would get, you know, pine cone on both sides of the base. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix up the 2-to-1 slow hardener. I have my compressor all ready to go for my pressure pot. So I'm going to mix that up and we'll see what that looks like when I bring it out of the pressure pot later today. Whoop whoop. Howdy everybody. I pray you had a blessed Christmas and you had plenty of time to spend with your family and friends, and we had a wonderful Christmas, and thank you all for wishing me a Merry Christmas. This pour was the first pour. I didn't record the second. I had to add a little bit more resin. I just mixed the same colors, but I just did a little less of them, and it blended well. I didn't have a line to where you can see. So after that, I just took the bottom of the bowl and filled in the little divot. As you can see here, I used 15-minute epoxy, and later on I sanded it down nice and flat, so that way when I inserted it into the base, that it would, one, not have an air bubble, and number two, so that way it would sit nice and flush. I start off with gluing this to a waste block with some Star Bond, and with some accelerator I sprayed on the waste block, and then add hot glue just for extra measure, and so far this method has worked pretty well, and I haven't slung anything off the lathe yet. So even though this blank is pretty heavy, it held really well. As I was flattening the part that would be the foot of this pedestal, I noticed a big old crack running through it. So I tried looking with my light to see if the crack had run through, throughout the sides or anything. I couldn't really tell. So I just went ahead and filled it with the 15-minute epoxy, Total Boat 15-minute epoxy, and let it sit overnight. I used the same red that I used in the project, and it worked out fine, and thank goodness there was no additional cracks in the piece.
I never really know exactly how I want to shape these pedestals. When I start off, it's more of a process of getting down to the size that it's going to be, getting past all of the imperfections that I may have caused turning it, and getting established at least the foot size and how big I want to go with it, and just pretty much just making like a cylinder shape, and getting the foot done, and then from there I kind of connect A and B, which is top and bottom, and do whatever in between. So right now I'm just putting a mortise in and working on the foot and finishing it, so that way when I turn it around I don't have to deal with that again once it's done, and then I can concentrate on designing. Of course, the part where the bowl's going to sit, that's tricky. So I don't do much until I get those two ends done, and then from there I just kind of go with the flow. Sometimes I'll look online for inspiration of shapes and curves and things like that, but it's never going to be exact because I'm working with a specific size and limited material. So, and plus I like to see what's going on in between the wood and the resin pieces to kind of see what it is I want in there to show and what I don't. My only regret with this piece was I didn't add more pine cones, or in my last one I used magnolia seeds pods, and those looked really, really cool. I just would like to have seen a little bit more differences, I guess, but it still turned out beautiful. And my mother-in-law, it was a gift from my mother-in-law for Christmas, and she really loved it, so that's all that matters, right? I'm very sorry about that resin stuck on the lens. I didn't notice it for a little bit, so I won't be offended if you fast forward through this part. I mean, you can still see some of what I'm doing, but depending on your OCD level, I know with mine, it's driving me nuts just editing the video with it stuck on there, so I truly do apologize. I had a few holes in the resin just from, there weren't cracks or anything, but they were just from between the pine cones and the wood. Some air bubbles got trapped, so I just went ahead and coated it really well with the 5-minute epoxy, and I mixed the red powder that I used, the mica powder that I used in the beginning. Making these intricate shapes with resin is at least tricky for me because I'm fairly new to turning resin. So just keep in mind that resin sands away pretty quickly. So any kind of details that you put in your piece, they're hard to sand. They're harder, I should say, than if I were to just have wood, in there. Because you have to try to figure out how to sand it going in opposite direction on top of all of those little lips and stuff. And like I said, they're easy to sand away if you're not careful. So just being patient with it, and it takes a little longer to sand these pieces, but it's well worth it in the end because they do look great with a little more details added in the shapes. So I did a total of 4 of these, and all of them were gifts for Christmas, and everyone loved them. I sand my pieces with resin. I have resin and wetted them if the wood is not stabilized with mineral oil because it helps keep the wood from swelling. I have sanded with water before and wooden resin, but I just feel better, I guess, about the oil instead of the water because I just don't, I feel like it doesn't swell the wood, keeps it from absorbing even after putting, sanding sealer on there. So I also apologize for not talking too much through this video. I caught a cold for Christmas. So enjoy the rest of the video, but before I quit yakking, I want to thank everybody, all my subscribers, and I pray that you guys have a wonderful new year. I won't have a video up until after the new year, so I wanted to wish you a happy new year. I may or may not have a New Year's video. I'm not quite sure. I have a really busy beginning of the year with my daughter's birthday and everything, so we will see. Hopefully I will have some time to get one completed for you. But anyways, I pray you have a wonderful weekend and a blessed new year. So take care and God bless.